Alright. Obi-Wan motherfucking Kenobi. Oh boy. It's gonna be tough beginning this video. For one thing, I don't have any notes written down or anything like that. Normally when I do one of these, I have some notes down to kind of give a guided idea of where I want this video to go, but I don't feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi deserves that kind of structure. It doesn't really earn that kind of effort in my eyes to make a full, like, write everything down that's bad with it. And there's so much criticism out there about it that you could very well, like, go watch anything and they'll probably say the same things that I would say. This is just gonna be more of like a let's wing it and see what happens kind of thing. And I'm having a tough time kind of starting because I just don't know where to begin with Obi-Wan Kenobi. A show that is so spectacularly bad and incompetently put together that it defies all logic and reason and business sense in my head. Normally when I say this, I mean this as a compliment, where I say I can't believe this exists because it's so good. I can't believe Obi-Wan Kenobi exists in the form that it does because it's such an embarrassing failure on nearly every single front. The analogy that I've been making to people that I've talked about this show with, like, in real life, is that I imagine some kind of kid during like a t-ball game, and he's at the mat, and he has the t-ball set up for him, and all this kid has to do is hit the ball in a way that gets him to first or second base. That's it. That's all he has to do. Just hit it and get to first or second base. He doesn't need to get the third. He doesn't need to hit a home run. This is all he has to do. This is all Disney and Lucasfilm had to do, was just make something that was okay. Just make something that was good or okay. And I think people would have been fine. But instead, this stupid little kid turns around and goes, "No, I want to hit the ball." And so he flings it into the bleachers, and it smacks some poor old lady in the face and breaks her nose wide open. That's the kind of spectacular, embarrassing, cringe-inducing failure that Obi-Wan Kenobi is. It's that bad. And I've seen a lot of people go, "Oh, well, it's just okay. It had some stuff in it. It had Hayden Christensen in it." And it's like that, those like small little elements color their entire opinion of the show. And to that I say, no. Star Wars fans need to demand better at this point, because this is getting ridiculous with these shows and with Star Wars under Disney. And I was not a big fan of where Mandalorian Season 2 ended, to give you all a little recap on my opinions of Star Wars stuff that I haven't made videos of. And then the Book of Boba Fett, which was just one of the most useless things I've ever seen. I don't know why that exists, other than to just give people the member berries crap of going, "Look, a Boba Fett Star Wars show. You like Boba Fett, right? You liked his completely needless appearance in Mandalorian Season 2, so let's give you fucking pigs a show of Star Wars Book of Boba Fett. Oh my God, so good." And it was stupid, and it sucked for the most part. Wasn't very good. And now you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, which, for all the crap that I talked about Book of Boba Fett looks like the fucking Godfather compared to this shit. Obi-Wan Kenobi is, and again, on every front, this show is just embarrassing. It is just, again, it just defies all logic by how bad this is. It is ugly to look at. It is horribly written. It is atrociously put together. Its music is just, even its music is terrible. I don't know how this happened. Its music is in a series in a franchise that is famous for many reasons, but one of its most famous aspects is its music. And yet the music in this show is garbage. It's utter garbage. It's the most bland, generic, please put this over my Twitch video because I don't want to get a DMC takedown level of generic. That is how fucking bad this is. And even then, that's an insult to generic music that Twitch streamers use, because that music is probably 1,000 times better. I've listened to music that my buddy Claylex has on for his Twitch stream sometimes because he doesn't want to get DMC takedown. That music is 1,000 times better than the music in Kenobi. It's just astounding how awful. Even saying bad doesn't do justice to how utter shit. Like, I've shat out things in the morning that have more value than Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's shockingly awful. And this show is just a slap in the face. I know this is an overused terminology, but I mean this. It is a slap in the face to anyone who has even an iota of nostalgia for the prequel era that like Disney Star Wars is now fucking around in. They've already fucked around in the playground of the original trilogy. Now they're fucking starting to get into my territory with the prequel trilogy, where I have nostalgia for it. Because that is how I got into Star Wars as a kid. I was obsessed with Star Wars when like the prequel trilogy were coming out. And yes, I know, as an adult, I watch them now. They're not the best things I've ever seen, but I still find value in most of them. I'm not really big on Attack of the Clones, but I really like elements of Phantom Menace, despite some of the problems with that. And I actually, like, I haven't seen it in a while, but my most, like, I guess it's an outdated opinion, but I really like Revenge of the Sith. So there's that. But now they're fucking around in my playground of nostalgia. And this is the result of them fucking around in it. Where they had a golden opportunity. They had a golden, gift-wrapped opportunity to make something cool with this Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And do you want to know what they did? Those fucking hacks at Lucasfilm and Disney decided to just, they're so fucking arrogant and they're so fucking egotistical and stupid, and they just have the intellect and emotional intelligence of a fucking 3-year-old. And that's insulting to 3-year-olds, because I bet, and again, this is something I've said to people I've talked about this show with, I bet anyone with a minute knowledge of what happens in the prequels could make a better Obi-Wan Kenobi show than this. I guarantee it. Any child out there could come up with a better Obi-Wan Kenobi show than what we got. Guarantee it. Because a child would actually know what Star Wars fans want to see. Is there this like subset of Star Wars fans that I don't know about, that when they see an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, they go, oh, we need to make a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi where he's a spectacular buffoon and a failure and a side character in his own show. Let's do that. Let's have an Obi-Wan Kenobi show where we make Obi-Wan Kenobi a fucking buffoon. Let's have Darth Vader turn into like a literal retard in this show. Let's have these side characters that nobody gives a shit about, like baby fuckface Leia and annoying, terrible Reva, I don't give a fuck. I'll get to her in a minute. And have them be like the characters that really get the attention in this show, that look the best. Let's intentionally write it in a way where they look the best compared to Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. And just this writing is so putrid. The acting is terrible. The effects and the cinematography, this is the worst. This might be the ugliest show I have ever seen. I'm comparing this to like some CW level garbage. It's in that tier. If I didn't know this came from Disney, I would assume this was like a fan film made on YouTube or something. And that's insulting to fan films on YouTube because they look better than this shit. Fan films on YouTube, whenever they show lightsaber fights, they don't feel the need to shake the goddamn camera, like, more intensity, more, shake that fucking camera, dude, shake that motherfucking camera. That's what we need that intensity. Oh yeah, shake that fucking camera. It's like either that, or whoever they had as the cinematographer kept conveniently having a fucking seizure every time the lightsaber fight started. Every time the action started, they had a seizure and the camera was just jiggling around. Woo! And it was just, it's horrible. And don't even get me started on the character and logic inconsistencies, because they are insane. They are insane. This show is written by stupid people. Stupid people wrote this show. Stupid people, emotionally unintelligent, actually intellectually intellectually lacking, emotionally immature, fucking adults that had the brains of fucking 3-year-olds wrote this show. Because, okay, in anything that I really enjoy, I can forgive minor inconsistencies, minor leaps in logic here and there. I totally can. I can forgive it. I'm sure there is stuff in some of my all-time favorite things that I could point out and go like, well, you know, you kind of have to overlook it like a little bit. But it's okay, because everything else is so good. Everything else is so respectful. But in this show, it's just so poorly stitched together. Like, the character and logic inconsistencies, both big and small, are so bafflingly stupid. Just how these characters behave from scene to scene, how the story goes scene to scene, how, like, just things that just happen that are just like, what? Like, why did this happen? This doesn't make any sense. It's just, every time I watch an episode of this show, my brain just goes haywire, and like steam just starts coming, like smoke and steam just start coming out from my ears, where I just go like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Wait a minute, that's stupid. Wait a minute, this character would never do that. This character just said one thing, and then he immediately changed his mind for another thing. It's just, this is a show that, like, either these writers are literally stupid, or this was a fucking development hell behind the scenes. I'd believe both at this point, given how incompetently ran Disney Star Wars is at this point. Like, we all know, I don't like to blame Kathleen Kennedy for everything, but I'm sure as hell gonna blame her for this one, because she's the one who's writing the checks, calling the shots, and she allowed this to go through. The higher-ups at Disney and Lucasfilm looked at this show, thought it was acceptable, and put it out there. And that's insulting. That's insulting, because they think so little of their fans. They think so little of the people who grew up with Disney, with prequel trilogy, original trilogy, that they have systematically at this point ruined any kind of interest that one could have in Star Wars. And the people that are left are the people that will willingly follow Disney into hell, into the hellscape that they've created. Willingly do it just because we see Anakin get hit in the face with the lightsaber and we see him beneath the Darth Vader mask. It's that kind of shit. Where Obi-Wan Kenobi goes, hello there, where they do the member berries crap at the end, and people go, oh, and they like clap, and they fucking like come in their pants. They go, oh, he said the line. Oh, he said the line. Like, it's like those people. It's those people that clapped for some reason at the end of Rise of Skywalker when Chewbacca got a medal. For some reason, that Chewbacca got one of the medals that he didn't get at the end of A New Hope. Like, it's that kind of stupid. Like people like that will just clap. You know what? And for those people, they need a reality check, because Disney thinks you're a pig at this point. Disney thinks you are a fat, disgusting, gluttonous pig, and they're feeding you slop. You are getting slop at this point with Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is pig slop. Not even high quality pig slop where they have nice bits of corn. This is just slop that the farmers shat out of their ass, mixed it together, and threw it in the pig pen for them to enjoy. This is the level of what you're getting now. It makes me so fucking angry thinking about it. The more I think about the show, because this show is not designed to be analyzed. This show is not designed to be poked at and looked at and thoroughly like checked to see if the logic holds up and makes any sense. This is a show that is there for people to just consume and then move on with their lives. They watch it. Disney can brag about the numbers they got from Disney Plus, and then people move on with their lives. There's nothing in this show that stays with you, that challenges you, that where you think about, oh my God, remember that image from a few years ago? And any kind of scene that could have been inspired is ripped off from other things. That scene where Anakin, when he's Darth Vader, he gets smacked in the face with the lightsaber, and you see Anakin behind him, and he's like talking to Obi-Wan. That is stolen directly from Rebels. Directly. I've never watched a full episode of Rebels before, but I know that moment is from Rebels, and I called that before the final episode came on. I said, and you ask anyone, ask Richard, he'll tell you, I told him, this is what they were going to do. I literally was sitting having lunch with Richard like the day or so before the final episode aired, and I told him, this is what's going to happen, where Obi-Wan's going to smash him in the face with the lightsaber. They're going to cut it, and they're going to do directly the scene from Rebels, where Ahsoka does the same thing. Because they're out of ideas at this point. They're creatively bankrupt. They used up all of their creativity with Mandalorian Season 1, as far as these Star Wars shows, and they just exhausted it. They got no more cum left in those balls at this point. It's so lazy. They have to start stealing from their own stuff now. Their own, like, Disney era stuff. And then that shit where, like, Darth Vader grabs the ship out of the sky, that's Force Unleashed. Again, a moment that could have been cool if it held up to scrutiny, but it didn't. And then, also, and this is where I'm going to get into Reva, because I hope you fucking people on Twitter get ready for this, because I'm going to... I hope you are. I hope you're ready to all the way to the fucking bank with this, because this character, Reva, it's basically a ripoff of the second sister from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And you know it's bad when I gain a greater appreciation for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. A game that I've very vocally expressed my, like, I don't like it. I think it's incredibly mediocre. But the way they handled the second sister storyline in that, this show directly steals from that and does it in a worse way. And Reva, this character, we've had a lot of bad characters in Star Wars before. You know, we've had Jar Jar Binks is bad. Young Anakin, the baby fuckface Anakin is bad. Holdo, terrible. Rose, terrible. Reva, this character might be the single worst character in Star Wars history. And it makes it all the more annoying and stupid because they are trying, by the end of this show, they try to paint Reva as some kind of redeemed anti-hero. No. I reject that notion. Like, full stop. I reject that idea that Reva is, like, redeemed by the end of this. That is ridiculous. It is so... I think this character is somebody's self-insert. Like, one of the writers or executives were like, I want to be in this show. I want to have... here we go, Twitter. This is where you're going to get it. This is what I'm talking about when I say that, like, these kind of female characters are annoying. These kind, where it's so obvious that Disney wrote this character to be like a diversity checklist, where they're like, oh, she's a woman, check. Oh, she's black, check. Oh, she can't be fully bad, but she has to be redeemed at the end, check. it's so cynical and nakedly obvious what they're doing that it just pisses me off. And before you fucking clowns come into here and tell me, like, label me as like a woman hater or a racist, I'm gonna compare her character to another character from a different show. So there's a show out there, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, called The Orville, and it is a wonderful show. I love this show so much with all my heart. It is one of the best shows I've ever seen. Like, definitely one of the best, like, recent shows I've ever seen. It is smart. It is funny. It is beautiful. It is competently put together. So there is a character on the show named Dr. Claire Finn, who is played wonderfully by Penny Johnson-Gerard. And it doesn't matter in my eyes that she's an older black woman. She is an amazing character. She grows throughout the series. She has like a very strange relationship with, I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen the show, because she has a very strange but charming relationship with one of the other characters on the show. She goes through problems. She's not perfect. Things happen to her that really like push her emotionally, and like you grow, like she grows throughout the series, and you come to really respect and admire her. And even when she does things that are questionable, there's like reasonable motivation behind it. But and the show has like won your favor by that point to where it's like you can kind of identify with her. Contrast that with Reva, where Reva comes in and there's just this air of arrogance around her that these writers like, and I think Disney knew that this character would get backlash. So I think, and this is, I'm going to get my conspiracy theory cap on, I think they orchestrated that whole thing where, yeah, everyone gets shit on the internet. Everyone does. I get shit on the internet. You get shit on the internet. Celebrities get shit on the internet all the time. And yet, for some reason, conveniently, this actress, Moses Ingram, came out with that tweet about, oh my God, look at all these hate messages I'm getting on Instagram. I'm getting all this racist shit. And yeah, that sucks. That's terrible. Don't do it. Don't racially harass these people. But the way Disney used that, and Star Wars used that, as a means of trying to shield itself from criticism, and trying to shield itself from criticism specifically of this character, was so, like, and I think they're doing this because I think they did this because they want to make people who are criticizing this character and this show uncomfortable. They don't want people to talk about this show in a negative light. So what did they do? They took this situation, an isolated incident, where a bunch of people that from a subset of a fan base harassed this actress and said like horrible things to her. And that's and again, that's terrible. Don't do that. Not defending that whatsoever. But when Disney does things, I have a very hard time believing that it's done out of the goodness of their heart, because they're a disgusting, greedy, monopolistic corporation, like a lot of companies are. And I believe that they had an ulterior motive where they want to make the discussion around Star Wars as uncomfortable and racially charged as possible to discourage people from criticizing it. It didn't work, but they tried. And because Disney is so fucking toothless and spineless and have such thin skins, especially these writers of the show, that I bet are your usual Twitter nut jobs, they want to shield themselves from criticism, and they want to shield this character from criticism because they just can't handle it. And as somebody who loves talking about, and this is where I'm going to use this word, and I very rarely use this word, the way Disney and Lucasfilm tried to circumvent criticism by manipulating this whole situation and blowing it up and conveniently having all these websites come in and write think pieces about how toxic and horrible the Star Wars fan base is, and how people in the Star Wars fan base can't handle a black person in the role, even though we've had black people in Star Wars since fucking Lando back in 1980. Yeah, okay, sure, guys. You know, I think that is just disgusting and offensive. And I'm going to say offensive because Disney is trying to weaponize a subset of its fan base against people who, this like blanket umbrella of people that will criticize the show, but won't have a problem with the character of Reva as far as like race or gender, but they'll still get labeled and they will make them uncomfortable and make them weary of talking about Star Wars, and they just won't bother. So that's less criticism lobbied at Star Wars. And at a time where Star Wars discussion is already so annoying and so unfun, this just makes it worse. Like, Disney is intentionally manipulating its audience to like turn on a part of itself and just attack and try to stamp out as much criticism as possible. And to that I say, how fucking dare you pull this shit? How fucking dare you manipulate use your power, that you irresponsibly use your power and influence to try to duck away from criticism of your garbage show because you're too much of a fucking pussy to handle criticism. Fuck you, Disney. Fuck you, Lucasfilm. Disgusting. So anyway, with Reva, this character that is terrible. It's the lethal combination of horribly written, horribly acted. And I don't even blame necessarily Moses Ingram for this. I blame, like, almost everyone in this show is bad. I blame the writing and I blame the directing. I blame Deborah Chow. I blame whoever the writers are. I just blame the showrunners in general. It's just awful. It's awful. I blame Ewan McGregor. Everyone is giving him a free pass. He's an executive producer on this shit. I'm pretty sure he's an executive producer. So yeah, I'm gonna blame him too, because I'm sure he had a say in all this as well. Maybe not as much of a say compared to Disney, the higher ups over there, but he had a say. And oh boy, was he compliant in all this. He's getting a fat paycheck off this garbage. So yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck Ewan McGregor. He had a part in this. I'm not gonna let him off the hook. And with Reva as well, by the end, when you look at like the logic of why she did what she did, and which I called, by the way, which was so easy to call. I don't know why they saved that reveal for the fifth episode. Oh my god! Like, if this were a smart show, they would have done it right off the bat and just built on that from there. But it's not, because the people who wrote this shit aren't smart. They're not emotionally intelligent. They don't understand basic storytelling. They don't understand basic writing, character work, storytelling. They just don't get it. So with Revo, by the end, when you go, wait a minute, so you wanted to avenge your dead kid friends by joining the Empire and presumably murdering a lot of people, including possibly children, torturing children, cutting off the hands of that innocent woman in the beginning, all in an effort to maybe get promoted enough and rise through the ranks just to have a shot at attacking Vader. What? That is so astoundingly stupid. I don't even know what. Who made this logic? Like, this leap in logic is just insane. So yeah, last thing I'll say about this show, for real this time, is that this show is so bad and the stuff surrounding it is so disgusting and offensive that it pretty much, like, I think it finally broke the spell of Disney for me personally. So I'll give you all like a very brief background. Like, I've already talked about some of this stuff in my like talking about me video back in May, but I had a not great, like, half my childhood was not great, but one of the creative outlets that I had during that time was Disney, because a way that I was raised was being taken to Disneyland in place of, like, you know, other more emotionally fulfilling long-term stuff, you know. But I like, Disney unlocked a lot of creativity at the time for me, and Disneyland, especially to me, was a safe haven where I could go and be happy and not have to worry about the shit I was dealing with at home. And I'm eternally grateful to that era of Disney for that. Back when Disney had an identity, when they weren't just like this Frankenstein's monster of things attached to it. And it really, like, there was still that morsel of nostalgia, that morsel of hope that, you know, Disney somewhere in that monster was the Disney that I knew, the Disney that I fell in love with when I was a very young child, the Disney that was there for me when I needed an escape from the shit that was going on in my real life. There is not a day that goes by where I don't have some kind of small, like, whisper or like a gentle breeze of nostalgia for that era of Disney. I can still hear the Main Street theme as I'm walking down. I can still taste the cotton candy. I can still feel the excitement going on Indiana Jones, the ride, for the first time. I can still, before they changed it, I can still hear the Beach Boys remixes playing on the Paradise Pier at Disney California Adventure. I can, you know, I have that nostalgia for those kind of, and like actual nostalgia, not this memberberry shit. Because what I define as actual nostalgia is something you can never recapture. Bringing up Boba Fett, literally digging him out of the grave, that's not nostalgia. And now with this show, with Star Wars in general, especially with Kenobi, I think I finally reached this point of acceptance to where I understand that Disney is dead. That morsel is not there within that machine. It's not there anymore. It's just been stamped out. It's gone. Surgically removed over the years. And I've come to this point where I've reached this age where I'm almost 30. And I just go, that part of my life is over now. And there's no point in holding on to that level, that small morsel of hope anymore. Because that Disney is dead. It's dead and it's never coming back. And now what we have is this cold, disgusting abomination of a Frankenstein's monster of a corporation that is unthinking, that is unfeeling, that is run by fucking incompetent nut jobs that loves to stoke the flames of like sensitive subject matters for their own financial gain. It's just, Disney is just disgusting. And I think even if I ever went back to Disneyland at this point, that if I ever went back, and I haven't gone since 2015, but even then I felt like some of the magic, I guess, to use that word, was lost when I went, even though I did have a fun time that day. I'm sure if I went now, I would have some of that nostalgic stuff, like it would try to creep in, but the spell has been broken, and I see Disney for what it really is now. And I don't think even the presentation of like the old, like the feeling of like seeing the old things at that place would bring back that morsel of hope. Because that's just what Disney is now. It's just a machine. It's just a product. It's just a thing you just feed your money into, and then you get your little like dopamine of shit that's injected into your arm. Yeah, I'm sorry to end this on such like a sour, like sad note, but that's the level of negative impact that Kenobi has put on me, to where it just broke my like last remaining small connection to Disney. And now that's it. Like, it's done. Like the cord has been cut. And now I'm an adult. And now I don't care anymore. And that makes me sad. Yep. So anyway, I feel like that's a good place to end the video. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking sucks.